Number 1. Basic information about Vanuatu. The Republic of Vanuatu is a small island nation located in the South Pacific, covering an area of approximately 12,189 square kilometers, making it one of the countries with modest land size in the world. The territory consists of 83 volcanic islands scattered across a vast expanse of ocean. However, only about 65 of these islands are permanently inhabited. The remaining islands are primarily used seasonally for fishing activities or preserved as natural reserves. Larger islands such as Espiritu Santo, Malakula, Ate, and Tanna each have their unique characteristics, with some featuring rugged mountains, others covered in dense forests, and some famous for their active volcanoes. Vanuatu is also considered one of the most isolated countries in the world. The nearest country is the Solomon Islands, which is still about 540 kilometers away. Fiji is even further to the east, at nearly 800 kilometers. Even Australia, the largest country in the region, is over 1,700 kilometers away from Vanuatu by sea. This remoteness makes international travel to Vanuatu less convenient, with a limited number of flights available. This directly impacts tourism, resulting in only about 100,000 visitors each year. Despite the country's stunning natural landscapes, the majority of tourists come from Australia and New Zealand, rather than Europe or the United States, as is the case with many other tropical destinations. In return, Vanuatu is regarded as one of the safest places on the planet when it comes to threats from wildlife. There are virtually no venomous snakes, no dangerous predators, and no deadly insects like those found in many other tropical regions. Due to its ecosystem developing in near isolation for a long time, many species of flora and fauna in Vanuatu have evolved in very distinct ways. Some species have quite unusual appearances compared to the rest of the world. Birds are the most noticeable group, with their vibrant plumage and sounds that sometimes resemble old electronic melodies. The plant life is also diverse, with many species looking as if they stepped out of a science fiction movie. Despite a population of just over 350,000 people, Vanuatu boasts 113 indigenous languages, making it the country with the highest language density in the world. On average, one language is spoken for every 3,000 people. To communicate between communities, the people use a common language called Bislama. This is a Creole language that blends English, French, and indigenous languages. When hearing Bislama, foreigners can recognize many familiar words. Men are called man, and women are referred to as woman. Instead of saying I am going to the house, they simply say me go long house, which means I am going to the house. There are no complex verb conjugations or lengthy structures. As long as the listener understands, that is sufficient. Number 2. The people worship commodities and Prince Philip. In Vanuatu, there have existed beliefs that many outsiders would find hard to believe, including the worship of cargo and even the veneration of Prince Philip of the British royal family. Although this may sound strange, these are genuine beliefs that have played a significant role in the spiritual lives of certain communities on the small islands in the Pacific. The story began during World War II, when people from many islands in Vanuatu and the Melanesian region first encountered American and Allied troops. They witnessed planes, ships, and countless modern goods appearing. For the locals, this spectacle was utterly bewildering. Whenever foreign soldiers signaled, read orders, or erected antennas, goods would seemingly materialize from the sky, everything from canned food and clothing to medicine and machinery. When the war ended and the troops withdrew, the goods disappeared as well. In societies that did not understand production and supply chains, people believed that these items were gifts from the divine or their ancestors, with white people merely acting as intermediaries. This gave rise to practices that anthropologists refer to as cargo cults. The locals constructed fake airstrips, made bamboo models of planes and radios, and organized parades mimicking Western soldiers. These rituals were performed with utmost seriousness, not as performances or entertainment. They believed that accurately reenacting these scenes would bring back the divine cargo. From the belief in cargo, a special figure emerged in the faith of the people of Tanna Island, John Frum. He is believed to be a mysterious American who promised to return with goods, wealth, and a fulfilling life. For decades, some communities have held festivals on February 15 each year, awaiting John Frum's return, complete with American flags, homemade uniforms, and the distinctive rituals of the cargo cult. Today, as the modern world has become more familiar, most of these beliefs have gradually weakened. However, the most peculiar belief can be found in the village of Yaonanan on Tanna Island, where a small community believes that Prince Philip, the husband of Queen Elizabeth II, is a living god. This belief stems from a local legend about the light-skinned son of the mountain god, who left the island and would one day return bringing power and prosperity. When the locals learned about the British royal family during the time when Vanuatu was a joint colony of Britain and France, they believed that Prince Philip was the figure from that legend. Notably, this belief is not just a matter of thought. The villagers once hung pictures of Prince Philip in their community center and regarded them as sacred objects. Prince Philip himself was aware of this community and had sent them signed photographs and gifts. In return, the villagers gifted him traditional items such as ceremonial clubs. After Prince Philip passed away in 2021, some believed that his spirit had returned to his ancestors, while others thought he would return in another form, just as the original legend foretold. Number 3. The 4 strangest tribes of Vanuatu. In Vanuatu, there are tribes named based on the size of the nambas, which is the traditional garment that covers men's private parts. The 2 tribes, Big Nambas and Small Nambas, reside on the island of Molecula. In the local language, the term Nambas refers to the protective pouch for the lower body. Men from the Big Nambas group typically wrap a large and thick bundle of purple pandanus leaves around their waist, while the men from the Small Nambas use only a small leaf or a simple tied piece of bark. Not only do these names pique curiosity, but these tribes are also known as some of the last communities in the world to abandon cannibalism. In the past, they believed that consuming the flesh of enemies would allow them to absorb the strength and spirit of their foes. It wasn't until Christian missionaries arrived and spread new religious values that this practice was completely abolished around 1960. If the pandanus leaf attire isn't surprising enough, the island of Tanna is home to the Yakel tribe, who resolutely reject all aspects of the modern world. This tribe does not use electricity, phones, or money, and they completely avoid modern fabrics. They maintain a hunter-gatherer lifestyle, with men wearing nambas and women donning grass skirts woven from dried bark fibers. Ironically, despite their rejection of modernity, the Yakel tribe became unexpected movie stars. The film Tanna, featuring the tribe's own people as actors, received an Oscar nomination in 2017. The barefoot actors walked the Hollywood red carpet in traditional grass skirts, leaving the international media astonished. However, immediately after the awards ceremony, they returned the gifted suits and went back to their lives in thatched huts. They also refused modern conveniences, despite numerous offers of support. Vanuatu is home to another tribe that has perplexed Western explorers: the long-headed tribe in the southern part of Molecula Island. Members of this tribe believe that a skull elongated at the back symbolizes intelligence, noble beauty, and spiritual connection. To achieve this shape, when infants are about a month old, mothers tightly wrap a piece of bark around the baby's head, forcing the still soft skull bones to grow vertically. This process lasts for several months until the head shape is permanently altered. Today, this practice has been abolished due to health concerns, but the last elders with unusually elongated skulls still exist. Finally, there are the sorcerers of the tribe on Ambram Island, regarded as the center of magic in the South Pacific. The Ambram people are famous for their haunting Ram dance, where they don enormous costumes made from dried banana leaves and wear wooden masks carved to resemble demons. In the community, sorcerers hold significant power because the people believe they can control the spirits of volcanoes, summon rain, ward off storms, and heal ailments that modern medicine cannot explain. Even residents of neighboring islands are always cautious when interacting with the Ambram people for fear of being cursed. Number 4. The secrets of women from Vanuatu. Women in Vanuatu possess a distinctive beauty characteristic of the Melanesian region in the South Pacific, embodying both wildness and vitality. They have strong bronze skin, naturally thick curly hair, and smiles that are always evident on their faces. The image associated with Vanuatu women is the island dress, featuring large puffed sleeves and a wide flared skirt. Few people know that this style of dress originated during the missionary period, when women were asked to dress more modestly. However, rather than viewing this as a constraint, Vanuatu women adapted it by incorporating vibrant colors and intricate embroidered lace details, transforming the island dress into a traditional garment that reflects the cultural identity of this island nation. Today, the island dress is commonly worn during festivals, community events, and ceremonial occasions, rather than just as everyday attire. Not only do they stand out in appearance, but Vanuatu women also play a crucial role in the economic life of their communities. In the markets of Port Vila, you will easily spot the market mamas, women who are central to trading activities. They not only sell vegetables and fruits, but also serve as the primary financial managers of their families. Many mothers bring their families to the market, sleeping on woven mats for several days to conduct business, and then send their savings back to their relatives. Notably, on islands like Pentecost and Tanna, women hold land ownership rights under a matriarchal system. Land use rights are passed down from mother to daughter, and men wishing to farm or build homes must obtain the consent of the women in their clan. In matters of love and marriage, Vanuatu women adhere to traditional customs, known as custom. To marry a girl, the groom's family must perform a ceremony called bride price. Despite the potentially misleading name, this is not a transaction but rather a form of tribute. The gifts typically include wild boars with long tusks, handmade mats, and food. The people of Vanuatu believe that the bride's family has invested significant effort in raising an important member of the community, so the groom's family must express their respect through this ceremony. One surprising aspect is that despite coming from a small nation facing many challenges, Vanuatu women are remarkably strong in the sports arena. Their women's beach volleyball team is a formidable competitor in the Pacific region and often surprises by defeating teams from larger countries. On the hot sand courts, the athletes compete barefoot, showcasing endurance and a fighting spirit that contrasts sharply with the gentle image often associated with them. If you're curious about how to strike up a conversation or get to know a Vanuatu girl, feel free to leave a comment with the number 3. Number 5. Cultural shocks. When arriving in Vanuatu, the people of Vanuatu have a quite distinctive appearance, to the extent that many who see them for the first time are taken aback. They exhibit very typical features of Melanesians, such as dark skin, broad noses, low or medium nasal bridges, thick lips, and naturally curly hair. As we are accustomed to, their common hair color is supposed to be dark black. However, what surprises many is that a large portion of the Vanuatu population, especially children, have bright blonde hair, resembling Northern Europeans. For a long time, this phenomenon was explained by various theories, ranging from excessive sun exposure, a diet primarily consisting of seafood, to nutritional deficiencies. However, modern genetic studies have provided a more convincing explanation. Melanesians living in Vanuatu and the Solomon Islands carry a rare gene mutation known as TYRP1. This gene directly affects the melanin production in the body, causing the hair color to shift to light blonde. Interestingly, this hair color is most pronounced in childhood. As they grow older, their hair gradually darkens, turning brown or dark brown, but generally remains lighter than typical black hair. Another shock that many tourists may encounter is the bar culture in Vanuatu. Contrary to the image of noisy bars with loud music and continuous dancing, the bars here are quite tranquil. This is because the locals do not go to bars for party-style entertainment, but mainly to drink kava, a traditional beverage made from the roots of native plants. Kava does not induce excitement, but rather creates a mild numbing sensation in the mouth, slows down the body's rhythm, and brings about a state of relaxation. The more one drinks, the more pronounced the lethargy becomes, akin to feeling sleepy yet still alert. Therefore, even if they want to dance, their bodies find it difficult to do so. Another small but easily noticeable aspect is the daily communication style. Vanuatu people often raise their eyebrows quickly to greet or to answer yes. If you ask a question and they simply raise their eyebrows without saying anything, that is the answer. This gesture is considered polite and completely normal in everyday interactions. Finally, despite being a developing country, the cost of living in Vanuatu is much higher than many might expect. The prices of imported goods, electricity, and tourism services can even exceed those in Australia or New Zealand for many basic items. A fast food meal costs around $9 to $10, a cappuccino about $5, and a small bottle of water or soda can reach up to $2 to $3. The primary reason for this is the isolated geographical location. Most goods must be imported from afar and transported at high costs. Therefore, even though it appears peaceful on the map, the cost of living in Vanuatu is not cheap at all. Number 6. Vanuatu and other interesting facts. Vanuatu is one of the very few countries in the world that does not maintain a regular army. The nation has no army, navy, or air force. Security is provided by the police force and a small paramilitary unit consisting of only a few hundred personnel. In Vanuatu's constitution, the decision not to maintain an army is viewed as a long-term strategic choice aimed at avoiding involvement in regional conflicts. Another little-known fact is that the origins of bungee jumping do not come from New Zealand, as many people believe, but actually began in Vanuatu. On Pentecost Island, the indigenous people have practiced an ancient ritual called Nakamal for approximately 500 to 1,000 years. In this ritual, men tie vines around their ankles and jump from wooden towers that are about 20 to 30 meters high to the ground, with the aim of praying for good harvests and demonstrating maturity, all without any safety equipment. Due to the high level of risk, Nakamal is considered one of the most dangerous rituals in the world. In the early 20th century, European missionaries attempted to ban this ritual, but the ban was not fully enforced, and the southern part of Pentecost Island continued to uphold the tradition. In February 1974, Queen Elizabeth II visited to observe the ritual and witnessed a fatal accident during a jump. It wasn't until the 20th century that the Nakamal ritual became widely known to the world and served as an inspiration for modern bungee jumping. Moreover, in Vanuatu, pigs are not merely pets, but are also seen as a measure of wealth and social status. A pig with naturally curved tusks can be valued from a few thousand to tens of thousands of US dollars, depending on the curvature of the tusks. Before significant events such as weddings, house building, or starting major projects, the people often perform a ritual of offering to the pigs. They believe that this offering will please their ancestors and deities, thereby bringing luck, prosperity, and prestige to the family. Another noteworthy point is the tax system in Vanuatu. The country has almost no personal income tax, no inheritance tax, and does not levy capital gains tax. Thanks to this policy, Vanuatu has been referred to as a tax haven in the South Pacific region. Regarding education, primary education in Vanuatu is free for children aged 6 to 12. However, after primary school, the rate of students continuing to secondary school and higher levels is only about 30 to 40%. The reasons for this include costs, the distance between islands, and labor demands within families. In many rural communities, children are expected to participate in fishing or farming from a young age, causing many to end their educational journey right after primary school. Number 7. The most seismically active place on Earth. Vanuatu is classified among the regions with the most intense geological activity on Earth. This island nation is located at the western edge of the Pacific tectonic plate, where this massive plate continuously subducts beneath the Australian plate at the New Hebrides Trench. The process of collision and subduction has been ongoing for millions of years, forming the entire Vanuatu archipelago as we know it today. Simultaneously, this relentless movement has turned the area into a hotspot for earthquakes and volcanic activity. To this day, these geological processes continue, keeping Vanuatu in a state of constant upheaval. Currently, there are a total of 22 volcanoes in Vanuatu. Among them, 13 are dormant, while the remaining 9 are either simmering or erupting. 7 of these volcanoes are located on land, while 2 others lie beneath the sea. Ambrim Island is one of the most prominent volcanic areas, featuring 2 highly active volcanoes, Benbow and Marum, which have earned Ambrim the nickname the Island of Fire. From a distance, one can see columns of gray smoke and red flames emanating from the volcano's craters, illuminating the night sky. As one approaches, the scene becomes overwhelming with bubbling lava, rising hot gases, and patches of black ash interspersed among the lush green forest. In addition to Ambrim, Mount Yasur on Tanna Island is also a very famous site. It is considered one of the most accessible active volcanoes in the world. For over 250 years, Yasur has erupted almost daily. Visitors can stand right at the edge of the crater and witness ash and lava shooting straight into the air, creating a scene that is both impressive and potentially hazardous. Not only are the volcanoes in Vanuatu notable today, but they are also linked to some of the largest eruptions in the past. This is evidenced by the presence of many gigantic craters on the islands. One of these is believed to have formed from an eruption that occurred around 50 AD. This event is classified among the most violent according to the Volcanic Explosivity Index (VEI) of the Smithsonian Institution. The energy released is estimated to be equivalent to hundreds of megatons of TNT. stronger than tens of thousands of Hiroshima atomic bombs combined, enough to alter the landscape over a wide area and impact the entire South Pacific region. In addition to its volcanoes, Vanuatu is also one of the countries with the highest earthquake density in the world. On average, around 200 earthquakes of magnitude 4 or higher are recorded each year. Most of the tremors are mild, but serious disasters have occurred. In 1999, an earthquake accompanied by a tsunami resulted in 10 fatalities and hundreds of injuries. The most recent earthquake struck the capital, Port Vila, in 2024, with a magnitude of 7.3, causing 14 deaths, 265 injuries, and approximately $231.7 million in damages, equivalent to nearly 19.1% of the country's GDP. Number 8. The history of the formation of Vanuatu. The tropical islands that make up the nation of Vanuatu have been inhabited for about 3,000 years. The first inhabitants were Austronesian people who migrated by canoe across the vast waters of the Pacific. They settled permanently on the islands, developing agriculture, fishing, and forming their own cultural life. Traces of this period can still be found in rock paintings and patterns created in the sand. For thousands of years, Vanuatu remained largely isolated from the outside world. It wasn't until 1606 that the islands were first recorded by Europeans. During an expedition, a Portuguese navigator landed on one of the islands and named it Santa. However, this visit did not lead to the establishment of a settlement, and the archipelago remained unnoticed by Europeans for more than a century and a half. In the 18th century, French sailors passed through the area and named the archipelago, according to their own terminology. Shortly after, British Captain James Cook conducted a detailed survey and renamed the islands once again. This name was used throughout the period of European rule and persisted until Vanuatu officially gained independence in 1980. From the 19th century, Christian missionaries began to operate vigorously on the islands. They spread their religion and sought to change many traditional practices of the indigenous people, including cannibalism. Around the same time, British and French settlers arrived, establishing plantations for bananas and coconuts. The rapid increase in the European population led to significant tensions regarding control over the archipelago. Rather than allowing one nation to hold power, Britain and France reached an agreement to jointly administer Vanuatu under a special arrangement. Each side maintained its own legal system, language, and administrative structure, complicating social life and making governance difficult. This method of rule did not receive much support from the indigenous people, who had little voice in important decisions. During World War II, Vanuatu held a strategic position in the Pacific region. Under British and French rule, local people participated in labor and supported U.S. forces stationed on the islands in the fight against Japan. The presence of Allied troops brought many changes to infrastructure and social organization. After the war, the colonial government promoted modernization programs in transportation, healthcare, and education. The tourism industry began to take shape, providing an additional avenue for economic development for the archipelago. These changes increased the local population's desire for self-determination. In 1980, Vanuatu officially became an independent nation. In its early years, the country faced numerous political and management challenges, but overall, it has maintained stability up to the present day. Number 9. The most irregular capital city in the world. In the capital city of Port Vila, Vanuatu, if you want to send a postcard to a loved one, you won't find the familiar mailboxes on the sidewalks. Instead, you must be prepared to dive into the sea. Just off the coast of the capital, on Hideaway Island, there is an operational underwater post office located about 3 meters deep, and it is the only underwater post office in the world that still serves regular mail. Instead of regular paper stamps, senders must purchase waterproof plastic postcards and then dive down to drop them into a fiberglass mailbox. Interestingly, this post office has actual staff members. They are professional divers who wear oxygen tanks and use a special stamp to validate the mail right underwater. While it may sound like a tourist promotion, this is still an official postal service with daily mail collection. This makes Port Vila one of the very few capitals in the world where swimming is more important than remembering a postal address. The public transportation system in Port Vila also operates in a way that might confuse many international travelers on their first experience. The most common mode of transport is 15-seat vans, easily recognizable by the red B on their license plates. The difference is that passengers do not wait at a bus stop. Instead, the vans actively seek out passengers on the road. When you wave to catch a ride, the driver will ask you where you want to go. Rather than following a fixed route, the driver operates the van like a shared taxi, flexibly turning down small streets to drop each person off as close to their destination as possible. Sometimes the journey may take longer than expected because the van has to drop off passengers in different directions. But in return, passengers are picked up and dropped off right at their locations for a very low fare. Finally, if you plan to find a specific address in Port Vila for deliveries or to visit friends, be prepared to easily get lost. The city almost never uses house numbers or street names in daily life. Although the streets still have names on maps, locals typically give directions based on familiar landmarks. A typical address might be described as behind the big mango tree, near the blue house with the barking dog, across from the grocery store owned by a Chinese person. This community memory-based navigation system works so effectively that even delivery staff or repairmen are more accustomed to finding homes by intuition rather than relying on Google Maps. Number 10. Beautiful places in Vanuatu. Champagne Pool, located off the coast of Espiritu Santo Island, is considered one of the premier diving spots in Vanuatu. This area features a shallow coral reef where bubbles continuously rise from the ocean floor, creating a sensation reminiscent of champagne fizz. In reality, these bubbles are volcanic gases, escaping through cracks beneath the ocean, but the area is completely safe for swimming and diving. When the tide is low, visitors can swim right above the gas vents and feel the gentle warmth of the water spreading across their skin. The water temperature here is usually several degrees warmer than the surrounding areas, providing a distinctly different experience compared to typical beaches. Champagne Beach is surrounded by fine white sand and lush tropical forests, while beneath the surface lies a rich ecosystem of coral and tropical fish, making it appealing to nature lovers as well as those with little diving experience. Not far from there is Millennium Cave on Espiritu Santo Island, one of the largest natural caves in the South Pacific region. To reach the cave, visitors must trek through the forest for several hours. The journey includes river crossings, rock climbing, and navigating through nearly untouched jungles. Inside the cave, there is a vast space with a high stone ceiling, enormous stalactites hanging from above, and an underground river flowing through the cave's interior. For the local people, this cave is associated with many oral stories and was once considered a sacred place. Not everyone was allowed to enter. Currently, tours are managed by the community, and the number of visitors is limited to protect the natural environment inside. On the island, there is also Million Dollar Point, a site with significant historical importance. This is where the U.S. military dumped hundreds of tons of military equipment worth millions of dollars into the sea after World War II ended in 1945. When the war concluded, the U.S. military had offered to sell this equipment to the British and French colonial authorities managing Vanuatu, but after failing to reach an agreement on the price, they decided to destroy everything rather than leave it for free. Hundreds of trucks, bulldozers, cranes, aircraft engines, and countless crates of supplies were driven straight into the ocean, much to the astonishment of the local residents. Over the decades, the seawater has transformed these war metal remnants into a massive artificial ecosystem, where coral and tropical fish thrive on the rusting metal frames. Just by putting on a snorkel and swimming a few meters from the shore, you can touch military tires or observe bulldozers piled up beneath the blue water. Number 11. Mysterious locations yet to be explained. Aratoka Island, also known as Hat Island, is located off the western coast of a Fate Island and is associated with one of the most chilling mysteries in the history of the South Pacific. Around the 13th century, a powerful chief named Roy Mata passed away, and this island was chosen as his burial site. When archaeologists excavated the tomb in 1967, they were astonished to discover that Roy Mata was not buried alone. Surrounding him were the remains of over 50 other individuals, including men, women, and children, arranged with remarkable precision and order. The major point of contention lies in the condition of these remains, as there were no signs of violence or weapon. Archaeological studies suggest that they may have ingested poison or been given anesthetics before being buried alive alongside the chief. with the intention of accompanying him to the afterlife. To this day, scientists have been unable to explain why such a large group of people from the tribe would voluntarily and completely accept collective death in this manner. For over 600 years afterward, Aratoka became a forbidden land, with no local residents daring to set foot there due to fears of the spiritual curses associated with this burial ritual. Equally mysterious are the rugged primeval forests on Malakula Island, where fields of megaliths are scattered throughout the wilderness. These massive stones weigh several tons and are identified as a special type of volcanic rock that does not occur in the geographical area surrounding the current villages. The question of how ancient humans could transport these colossal stones across the steep, dense forest terrain, interspersed with complex rivers of Malakula, remains a puzzle even with modern technology. A tribe that only used stone and wooden tools would find it nearly impossible to have the strength and organization required to move them over distances of tens of kilometers under harsh natural conditions. Notably, the stones are not placed randomly but are arranged in straight lines or circles, aligned with constellations in the sky at specific times of the year. When asked about their origin, the elders of the small Nambas tribe only passed down that these stones moved to their current positions on their own or were erected by divine forces overnight. The true purpose of these structures remains unclear, as there are no signs of habitation or agriculture from ancient humans in the surrounding area. Many locals believe that the stones possess their own spirits, and anyone who physically interferes with them may encounter inexplicable accidents or mysterious illnesses, making this area one of the most enigmatic places on the archaeological map of the world. Number 12. Interesting dishes of Vanuatu. Lap lap is considered the most traditional and familiar dish in Vanuatu, often present at every important occasion, from festivals and weddings to community gatherings. This dish uses grated taro, yam, or cassava, mixed with coconut milk and topped with pork, fish, or chicken. The uniqueness of lap lap lies not in its flavor, but in its social significance. The preparation process is typically communal, with many people participating in grating the root vegetables, preparing the fire, and timing the baking. In many villages, lap lap is also seen as a symbol of hospitality, where important guests are often offered portions with more meat and coconut. In addition, tuluk is a dish that clearly reflects the labor-intensive and mobile lifestyle of the people of Vanuatu. Tuluk resembles a long loaf, with the outer layer made from grated root vegetables and the filling consisting of pork or fish. This dish is tightly wrapped in banana leaves and then baked, allowing it to be preserved longer than many other dishes. Due to its portability and the fact that it can be eaten cold, tuluk is often prepared for trips to the fields, fishing expeditions, or long journeys between islands. Another dish that often piques the curiosity of tourists is fruit bat meat, a species commonly found on the islands of Vanuatu. Bats are considered an important source of protein, especially in remote areas with little livestock farming. Bat meat primarily appears in communal meals or festive occasions, rather than being a daily dish. Additionally, fresh seafood plays a significant role in Vanuatu's cuisine, particularly fish and shellfish, which are used almost immediately after being caught. In many coastal areas, fresh fish is sliced thinly and mixed with coconut milk and wild lime, creating a familiar dish in everyday life. This practice stems from the limited preservation conditions on many islands, making fresh consumption a natural choice. Number 13. The unique festivals of Vanuatu. The Water Music Festival held on Gaua Island around September each year is one of the most unique cultural events in Vanuatu, where all sounds are created directly from the surface of the sea. This traditional ritual is closely associated with local women, who stand in a line with the water at hip level and use their hands as instruments. Each different hand movement produces deep, resonant sounds like drums, sharp claps, or splashes of water that mimic the sound of falling rain and ocean waves. The water music often narrates the legends of the tribe or reenacts daily activities, such as fishing and canoeing. While the water music is gentle in tone, the Street Andrews Festival on Ra Island, held annually on November 30, offers an experience that blends spirituality with survival skills at sea. The most prominent ritual of the festival is the traditional fishing method known as Rav. The locals form a line underwater, using a long rope to encircle and sweep through a wide area of the sea, herding schools of fish towards shallow coral reefs to catch them by hand or with spears. After gathering a large catch for the communal feast, the men of the village perform the distinctive snake dance, with their bodies painted in black and white patterns, resembling the highly venomous sea snake. These graceful and agile movements are not only for display, but also express reverence for the ocean, while invoking the protection of spiritual forces during perilous fishing trips. Number 14. Tips for travelers. When leaving the town to visit beaches or waterfalls in Vanuatu, many tourists are surprised to find that there is an entrance fee, even though the scenery is entirely natural. The reason for this is that most of the land here is owned by local communities or families, rather than being managed by the government. The fees are usually not high, but it's important to ask beforehand, as some places charge per person, while others charge by group. Some locations do not clearly display their prices, and the fee collector may inform you of the cost on site. If you don't inquire in advance, you might end up paying more than usual. When participating in traditional village tours, tourists should be cautious of spontaneous tours. On some islands, you may be invited to visit a village with the promise of witnessing a ceremony or traditional dance. However, not every village holds ceremonies regularly. There have been cases where guests only saw a short, staged performance and were then asked to pay extra for each small activity. To have an authentic experience, it is advisable to go with a local guide recognized by the community, or to ask in advance whether the village regularly welcomes visitors. Another important point to note is that photography is not always permitted. In many villages, taking pictures of houses, people, or ceremonial activities without permission is considered disrespectful. There have been instances where tourists were asked to delete photos or pay after taking them. The safest approach is to ask beforehand, even if you are only photographing the landscape, as the land and everything on it is tied to the community's ownership rights. Finally, be mindful of the days when cruise ships dock. During this time, the prices for services, food, and souvenirs in some areas can increase significantly as vendors target the short-stay tourists. If you are not in a hurry, avoiding shopping during these hours will help you avoid paying higher than usual prices. Number 15. Cost of living in Vanuatu. As mentioned earlier, the cost of living in Vanuatu is relatively high, so the specific prices below will help you better visualize your budgeting plans. In Port Vila, the rent for a one-bedroom apartment in the city center typically ranges from $1,600 to $3,100 per month, while in the outskirts, it falls between $1,500 and $2,900. Regarding dining, the cost at mid-range restaurants varies widely, but is commonly around $10 to $30 per person for a 3-course meal. Casual eateries or fast food usually charge between $8 and $15 per serving. Drinks like local beer at cafes or bars typically cost about $3 to $6 per bottle. Utility costs, including electricity, water, and internet for a medium-sized household, generally range from $100 to $180 per month, depending on the use of air conditioning and large electrical appliances. Basic internet and mobile packages are priced around $40 to $60 per month. If you opt for satellite internet like Starlink, the monthly cost usually falls between $100 and $120. For transportation, gasoline prices are around $1.6 to $2.1 per liter, making personal vehicle use quite expensive compared to the average. When traveling between islands by ferry or domestic flights, costs can increase by several dozen to several hundred USD depending on the distance. Overall, a monthly budget of approximately $2,500 to $3,500 is considered suitable for maintaining a relatively comfortable lifestyle here. So we have explored 15 amazing facts about Vanuatu. I hope what we've shared has given you a fresh and deeper perspective on this wonderful country. If you found the video helpful, please hit like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss our next exploration journeys.